$33,000. That's exactly what I made on this specific deal. Let's just look at the picture, because most wholesalers that will look at this property that you guys are seeing right now, they're just going to look at it and be like, oh, guy's not going to take 50%. There's no way in hell he's taking 50%. And again, we were able to make $33,000 on this property. So you see where I'm going with this? It's insane to me to think that wholesalers like myself in the past and others will look at a property like this or speaking to the guy on the phone, and he's obviously smart. He just bought the property. He just needs a cash offer and he wants to get rid of it, but he's not going to get rid of it for 50%, right? So we actually made $33,000 on the deal. And you ask me, how the hell did you make $33,000 on a deal that's perfect? Needs no repairs. That's exactly what I'm going to show you guys in this video today. How can you make $33,000 on a perfect house without having to do anything? It's insane, right? So let's just dive into the video real quick. Oh, before I get on another note, background, everything's a little bit different. I'm still getting situated. I just moved back to Miami. I'm doing a lot of more content out here. So if you guys want to see a lot more content in Miami and stuff like that, vlogs, just leave a comment below and let's get right into the video real quick. So if you ask me, how did I make $33,000 on this Novation deal? And why is Novation the best option for this specific type of lead that's probably flooded in your CRM and you don't know what the hell you're going to do with it, right? And you're doing the seller a disservice, because this one, it was a bit, the seller had just lost his job. He was in a tough spot. The house was perfect, no repairs needed at all. But here's the thing, when you're looking at the house in perfect condition, you can't expect the seller to take a 50% haircut, right, on their price with a cash offer, especially if they know the property's value, right? They're obviously looking up on Zillow. They see the Zestimate, right? They're going to negotiate and they're going to argue with you about their price. The guy's not stupid. He's not taking 50% of property, right? Offer, right? So that's when us or you can do the same thing. You can pull out your white glove program. That's what we use here to do the exact same thing, right? Which is essentially a better option for the sellers like him, right? It offers all the benefits of a cash offer, but a bit more money, though it takes a little longer. We explained the benefits to him, and after a few weeks on the market, he signed the deal, right? So we actually got this thing signed right here for $335,000. Boom. This is the property. You guys can look up the address. You'll see the whole entire transaction. This is the house. $333, right? Well, not 333, $335,000. So negotiating and getting it sold. Listing price. We initially listed the property for $410,000, but after no offers came in, we dropped the price to $395,000. A buyer submitted an offer for $395,000, and on top of that, we offered $15,000 towards closing costs. So this buyer came in. We had multiple showings. It's insane because the market was clearly hot, right? I think this one was late last year, if I'm not mistaken. We'll look at the dates right now when we jump in here. But we had it listed maybe for like a couple weeks, and man, no offers, a lot of viewings. And stuff like this happens, right? So the offer that came in was with the $15,000 contingency cost, blocked it up at $335,000, which is a little tricky since he needed quickly, but we still wanted to maximize our profits. We ultimately took the deal and get it done. The seller, we had to give him another $15,000 on top of the deal. So this actually happened, right? So the seller started getting anxious while those 2 weeks were going on and people coming in and out. And he's like, oh man, I need more money. I want to cancel. So the guy was wanting to cancel. And we were like, look, we'll give you another 15 just to keep the deal alive. We knew that offer was already right. And there was already money there. So essentially we had to give up the 15 that we were making to get the deal done, right? Essentially we did give him the 15. Here's the offer, $395. And here's the addendum signed and everything, bumping his price up to $350. So now we lost 15, but we still kept the deal. Like this happens on deals. You just have to know how to work around. And that's the tricky part, because if you're not knowing what you're doing, right, you're not going to succeed. You have to have somebody in your corner like myself, whoever your mentor is, or whoever you're learning from. Always have somebody in the corner that you can ask for back. Extend your hand and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. Can you help me out? Or you know what? You can just partner with us. That's what we do as well. We take on deals like this and we do the whole entire process for you. You just basically submit the lead and wait to get paid. And we take care of this whole entire process. So you don't even have to stress about it, right? So let's just say, for example, we made $33,000. You're making 40% of that just by submitting the lead. So right off the top of my head, you're making what? 10 grand, more or less, give or take, just for submitting a lead, right? Or you can just do it yourself. but you have to know how to do all this entire setup and all that stuff, which you can obviously learn, but in the beginning, just to get some cash and work with us, right? And obviously a few more challenges along the way. Seller was getting impatient, which we already went over, so we ended up giving him an extra $15K to avoid handling completely. He needed it done faster, and we were taking longer than expected, which is fine, right? You just have to know how to work around that. Realtor drama. Originally, the realtor was contracted at 3%. This was insane because think about this realtor from the beginning. She was a mess. But anyways, you guys know I love working with them, but there's certain realtors that are just like us as wholesalers. We get back and forth. We do from A to Z, from literally from the ground all the way to the top. We know exactly what's going on with the transaction. Most realtors don't even know what's going on in their backyard. But we had contracted with her for 3%, and then we negotiated with her down to 2%, and she signed, right? Insane. But when we got to closing, she says, "Oh, I remember signing this piece of paperwork. You guys are scamming me." Yeah, horseshit. You clearly signed the paper. It has the DocuSign stamp with the time, everything, the date, right? And obviously it's her just trying to get a little bit more money. But if you're dealing with realtors and solving problems on a daily basis, because that's what your job is to do, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're an investor, if you're in the real estate game, your job is to solve problems on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. This game is about creating solutions. If you are not able to create a solution or an end goal for your seller, for your realtor, whoever it is, you're not going to succeed. So obviously we talked to her and she got the 2% because that's what she signed. And that's it, right? That's the name of the game, right? Obviously, when the inspection was done, throughout the whole entire process of getting the loan approved and all of that, you have to do inspections, right? So actually when the inspection report came back, I think the dishwasher was disconnected and we had to connect it. And obviously we sent the handyman out there. We paid him up front and we got that done so we can get the CTC to clear to close. This is what came back on the inspection: repair, replace switch or breaker under the sink that trips when at, right? So that was part of the dishwasher that they needed to fix. So all in all, let's talk real numbers, right? We paid the buyer's agent fee 2% plus our closing costs and the seller concessions towards closing costs, which was right around $15,000, plus the $15,000 that we gave to the seller in order to keep the deal. And our profit was $45,000, but you take into consideration all the fees and everything, we actually netted $33,000, right? So if you ask me, how can you start doing this? Here's what I've learned from this deal. You need the right contracts. Novation was the only way this deal would have worked, right? If this deal, look at this picture again. Let's just go back here real quick. There is no way in hell this seller is taking 50% of what his house is worth, right? And this is a smart gentleman that we're talking to on the phone. The guy's not going to sell it for 50%. So you have to learn this strategy sooner than later, right? Because before you even start, let's say, doing these deals, a lot of people are already doing them. So you need to start sooner than later. So going back to this, right buyers, we stood firm on what we signed and what we wanted for the property and got the right buyer, even though things got difficult, right? So always stand on your ground, make sure you're doing things correctly, and just keep pushing harder and harder every day, right? So the right strategy, sometimes you need to go the extra mile to get the deal done, but patience and persistence pays off. So again, guys, patience, persistent pays off. This deal, we had to give the seller an extra $15,000 just to get the deal done. The realtor's complaining about her 3% to 2% because she sees that we're making $33,000 and she's only making $10,500 right here. So a lot of the times realtors do get greedy. They do pocket watch. And if you're not used to dealing with realtors, when they get pissed because you're making $40,000, $50,000 on a transaction and they can't handle that, you have to be prepared to take these calls. And that's exactly what we do for you. We take all of that stress, all of this nonsense of paperwork, addendums, back and forth, contracts, giving the seller more money, right? Because a wholesale deal is clean. You place escrow after you view the property and you close within 2 weeks and you're done, in and out, right? This is a long, drawn out process, right? Which we basically systemized and automated the whole entire process in order to do consistently deals every single week. So if you guys want to start partnering on Novation deals, right? And taking properties that are probably sitting in your CRM right now that just like this and make $33,000, the link is in my bio. And again, so that's pretty much it for this video. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you need any more, if you want to give me any more ideas on what kind of videos you guys want me to record. I've been posting a lot of content about these breakdowns. I've been getting a lot of feedback, people liking it and stuff like that. Also, I just moved out to Miami, back in Miami again. I was in Ecuador for a while. well. So a lot more content here coming soon. I'm hope to be doing some vlogs, but I really like this kind of content where I break down these deals so you guys can get a better understanding of how this process works and how you guys can partner up on deals with me. I'm so very excited, and you guys on the next one.